Welcome back to The Explainer. If you've ever stepped foot inside a modern corporate environment, you've absolutely collided headfirst with a massive wall of corporate terminology. It's inevitable. Today, we're going to decode the dense and, let's be honest, sometimes incredibly intimidating language of SAP. Think of this as your own personal translation guide, designed to take all those complex modules and business functions and make them crystal clear. Look, we've all been there. It's a hugely familiar pain point for so many new corporate employees or even IT students. You're sitting in a meeting and suddenly everyone around you is speaking what sounds like a totally alien language made entirely of three-letter acronyms. They're throwing around letters like MM, FI, and ECC, and you're just kind of nodding along, hoping it eventually clicks. Well, you don't have to just nod along anymore. We're going to clear up that alphabet soup today and give you the tools to understand exactly what is driving your company's operations. All right, here's our game plan for today. First, we'll cover decoding SAP alphabet soup. Then we'll look at the big IT picture. After that, we'll hit core business operations, move right into logistics and product flow, and wrap it all up with mastering the SAP language. So, part 1, decoding SAP alphabet soup. Moving right into part 2, the big IT picture. To kick things off, let's treat this like a straightforward user guide. Before we can even begin to understand specific business departments, we really need to look at the absolute starting point, the foundation, before any business function can even happen. So let's start with the big one, SAP itself. It stands for Systems, Applications, and Products. When people are talking about SAP, they're referring to the name of the software itself. This is literally the bedrock of the entire enterprise system suite. It's the digital ground that this whole corporate building is constructed on. Built right on top of that bedrock is the ERP, which stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. If SAP is the ground, the ERP is the main structural framework of our corporate building. It's the main business system framework whose entire purpose is to integrate all business processes. It connects absolutely everything, so the left hand always knows exactly what the right hand is doing. Now, if the ERP is our building, how does it evolve over time? When you look under the hood of the system, you're going to see these two terms pop up a lot. First is ECC, which stands for Enterprise Central Component. This is your classic older version of the SAP ERP architecture. Contrast that with EP or EHP, which are enhancement packages. These are the ongoing modern upgrades that get deployed to the SAP system. Basically, they're the renovations that keep our corporate building state-of-the-art, functional, and highly secure. But of course, a building is totally useless without people inside it, right? Enter the CTM, or Core Team Member. This introduces the crucial human element into our IT picture. A CTM is a specific project team role. These are the folks tasked with actively implementing, configuring, and managing this entire software ecosystem day in and day out to ensure it actually serves the business. Okay, part 3, core business operations. Let's take the elevator up to the executive floors and look at the money. As the central nervous system for a company's finances, you are constantly going to hear about FI and CO. Let's break them down. FI stands for Financial Accounting. This module handles the company's financial records, primarily for external reporting. Think official balance sheets, public financial statements, that kind of thing. On the flip side, CO stands for Controlling, and this handles internal cost management and internal accounting for making business decisions. So, simply put, FI is how you report finances to the outside world, and CO is how you manage your costs internally. Flowing smoothly from the money over to the people, we have HCM, which stands for Human Capital Management. You can basically think of HCM as the HR office of our SAP building. This is the core module dedicated to managing all employee data. It handles absolutely everything related to the people who are executing the work and making the business run. Keeping a massive business running requires a lot more than just money and people, though. It requires critical support systems. These 3 modules right here are what keep the lights on. First is PM, or Plant Maintenance. That manages all the heavy equipment and maintenance operations. Then you have PS, Project Systems, which handles the detailed planning and tracking of company projects. And finally, DMS, the Document Management System. This securely stores and organizes all your crucial corporate documents. Together, these 3 efficiently manage the physical equipment, the strategic projects, and the essential paperwork. Which brings us to Part 4, Logistics and Product Flow. Let's leave the executive suites for a minute and head down to the factory floor. This is where we see the complete story of a product's physical journey. Step 1 is PLM, Product Lifecycle Management, and PP, Production Planning. This is where the item is initially designed and planned out. In Step 2, MM steps in to gather all the required physical materials. And finally, Step 3 uses QM for rigorous quality checks before handing the product off to SD to actually sell and distribute it. It's a pretty flawless digital assembly line when you think about it. Now, notice how central the MM module is to this entire physical flow. MM stands for Materials Management. Think of this as the digital warehouse of the company. It handles all the critical inventory, the purchasing of raw goods from vendors, and tracks the exact stock levels. Without MM, those brilliantly planned products from the previous step, they'd have absolutely no physical components to actually be built. And at the very end of that digital assembly line, we reach SD, Sales and Distribution. This is the final stop at the loading dock. The SD module handles the entire customer sales flow. It seamlessly manages the delivery of the finished goods to the customer and ensures the billing process is perfectly completed. It's the moment where the product officially leaves the SAP building and goes out into the real world. And lastly, Part 5, Mastering the SAP Language. So we've covered the technical foundation, the core operations, and the logistics. I want to bring us right back to this super simple foundational idea from our source material. All of this, the ERP, the MM, the FI, the SD, it's just a dictionary. That's all it is. It's not magic, and it doesn't have to be intimidating. By taking the time to understand these short forms, you prevent massive confusion in your meetings. But more importantly, you empower yourself to look at a highly complex enterprise system and actually read the matrix like a true core team member. We have walked through the entire corporate building today, from the technical bedrock all the way up to the executive suites and right down to the loading dock. You now have the translation guide in your hands. The alphabet soup finally makes sense. So the only question left is, now that you know the code, which module are you going to master first? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I highly encourage you to take this knowledge and start exploring the SAP ecosystem with absolute confidence. Catch you next time.